Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the PodRats podcast, another episode of our movie show. I'm Brayden. Today with us, we got Christian and Hunter. Just us three for today. We'll move into movie news. Cue the jingle. What do we got, Christian?
The Buzz Lightyear movie that's coming out. We have knowledge of some backstory on what it actually is. So everyone's seen Toy Story. Everyone knows the kid Andy in Toy Story.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Well, the reason he got a Buzz Lightyear toy
Okay.
is because Buzz Lightyear is a movie in the Toy Story universe
What? No way.
that Andy saw as a kid and he really liked. So he bought a Buzz Lightyear toy.
The real Buzz Lightyear looks a lot cooler than
So
the
the new Buzz Lightyear is the movie
Yes.
that Andy saw.
Yes, it is.
So we're watching a movie of a movie
Yes.
in a
Movie
Toy
universe.
Story universe.
It's honestly so sick, man.
This came out this week, and a lot of people brought up some good points.
That it's
this
so
movie,
sick.
this movie looks better, more realistic than the Toy Story movies.
Yeah.
So Andy is watching something that looks more real
Then it's real life.
than his reality. So it's kind of weird. But hey, I mean, I guess in his reality, what he looks like is real, and so if something looks more human, it looks fake.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, I saw that. Is it the director, producer, or whatever said this is like Andy's Star Wars?
Yeah.
That's such a funny quote. That is exactly what he said, though.
It's his 2001
This
The
movie
Space Odyssey.
changed his life
Yeah,
after he watched it.
but yeah, I can't remember which movie show it was, but I remember we discussed how all of this happens because we were like, wait, so does Lightyear take place in the future, or does it take place in the
Yeah.
past?
Yeah, we really
We
had
were
no,
very confused.
Yeah, we had no explanation on that until
this
now.
this clears up that segment. Of
It's so
whatever it
funny
was.
because they just wanted to make a movie about Buzz Lightyear in this style, but then they just had to write into lore why this movie makes sense in the Toy Story lore. They just did backwards writing.
It's a movie within a movie, guys.
Yeah, so they made the movie, and then they're like, okay, now we have to explain how it makes sense.
Yeah, well,
So it's a movie within the movie universe.
but it makes sense.
And soon, Marvel will be taking notes and putting this into reality. And then we will have movies within the Marvel universe that are movies in the Marvel universe.
It could be like the Sony movies or movies within the Marvel
Exactly.
universe.
See?
Yeah,
This is how they bring in all the Sony lore.
but that technically doesn't make sense because of Spider-Man: No Way Home. Those are actually alternate universes.
Didn't they already kind of do that with WandaVision? They kind of put that whole thing into a
Yeah, but that wasn't
show.
as
Yeah,
cool
but that
as
was
Lightyear,
Wanda
but-
just like fucking up with reality.
Yeah, that
Yes.
wasn't nearly as cool as Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, you're right.
In WandaVision, the TV show was her reality, but she was making a TV show of her reality.
Yes,
Yeah. So like, yeah, it
that only
Facts.
makes sense if you've seen WandaVision.
really confusing.
All right, so the next piece of movie news. In The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring Nicolas Cage. It was almost not starring Nicolas Cage if Nick Cage did not want the role. Daniel Day-Lewis was set to be the backup if Nick Cage chose to not be Nick Cage in his own movie. So, what do you guys think of this?
Also, Christian Bale?
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis and Christian Bale.
That's pretty cool.
You know, Daniel Day-Lewis is in retirement. What if he came out of retirement
To be Nick Cage.
just to be Nick Cage? No, but the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent definitely does not work if Nick Cage is not Nick Cage
No, not at
playing
all.
Nick Cage.
Not at all.
But yeah, I think how different of a movie that would have been, Christian, if Christian Bale was playing Nick Cage.
Yeah, it would not have worked.
They got two of Hollywood's like most acclaimed method actors as their two backups. I wonder if like Daniel Day-Lewis would have looked like Christian Bale. Like
if they had the
you'd,
best method actors, they would have had Jared Leto, though. As the method actors.
God.
But yeah, that's pretty funny though. They're like, okay, Daniel Day, Nick Cage, let's go.
Well, speaking of Jared Leto, that leads us into our next movie news. The Morbius director, what is his name here?
Daniel Espinosa.
Daniel Espinosa. Yeah. He
That guy.
he responds to critics hating on Morbius and says that he has a lot of self-hatred. So
What does that mean?
I think that means
That's so
that
sad.
I know.
in my head I read that and I go, this man is already sad enough and probably already criticized himself really hard for this movie. And now everyone is criticizing him on top of him criticizing himself. So
It's okay if you don't like the movie because I don't like myself.
This movie is actually self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Goodness. Yeah. Or Morbius is Morbius, man. We'll just
It's
go
a movie.
past it. I wonder how difficult it'll be for him to like
Move on and
Yeah.
try to be taken seriously by like people that he pitches his movies to.
get work. He'd be like, "Yeah, what's your last project, Morbius?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The $3 billion box office hit, Morbius. Okay, yeah.
The $3 more billion.
all right. So the next piece of movie news, this just got thrown in here last second.
I'm about to throw in some more, so stay on your toes.
Okay. Well, I actually watched a video on this. Netflix's stock dropped 30% in the last week. If anybody was interested,
We're doing stock updates.
stock updates.
Stonks?
Don't buy the dip in don't buy the dip in Netflix.
Don't buy the dip in Netflix.
Yeah, don't.
It's going downhill. They don't know what they're doing. They keep putting shittier content on their platform and just raising the prices.
Yeah, it's like the budgets keep getting higher for things on Netflix, but like the quality goes down because I feel like they're prioritizing quantity over quality these days.
They are.
And then they raise the price.
Yeah.
And then they talk about having ads.
Yeah.
How many subscribers did they lose? Does it say in that article?
The last I heard,
200,000.
yeah, it was like
From the
That's
last
like the
quarter.
most. That's the most they've ever lost in a quarter
Yes.
in the last 10 years.
yes.
And I mean, it makes sense. Like, how many times nowadays are you guys going to watch a movie or
Yeah.
a show and you're like, I'm going to check Netflix?
Yeah, because they're losing all
Well,
like
a
the
lot-
really good movies to other streaming
Yeah,
services.
like HBO Max right now is
HBO Max-
definitely has the best library.
yeah, HBO Max is taking all the like good movies.
And Disney took all Netflix Marvel stuff.
Disney Plus is doing pretty good too. They're getting exclusive rights to a lot of movies these days that are good.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I think another problem I saw people were talking about was that Netflix kind of made their name off of being the binge, what do you call it? Platform.
The platform for the binging.
Yeah. Like you can binge watch Netflix shows. And I think that a lot of people are bored of that.
Yeah.
I think people are tired of, sitting down and binging shows. I think people like weekly releases, honestly.
Weekly releases keeps a show around
And relevant.
longer.
It does.
Yeah. Completely relevant. I mean,
It also
Euphoria
keeps
is
people on.
relevant every fucking
It
week.
keeps people on the platform too because they have to wait
That is true.
amount of time to actually watch it instead of just like dropping or doing like a free trial for a week and then dropping it.
It's a smarter strategy, honestly.
But what you didn't include was after they announced their quarterly losses, then they stopped most of their animation projects. They halted. Literally most of them. I looked up the ones that they're stopping. It's literally most of their animation projects.
So they just said, all right, budget cuts right here.
Well, I don't know.
Let's
Maybe
cut
they're
these
like,
ones.
okay, yeah, this is the reason why we're losing people. We're just going to not do those.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Because
There's
we're adding
something dumb.
anime shows, and that's what people are mad about. No,
Yeah,
I don't
know.
I don't know.
They're taking L's at the moment.
They're taking it like back to back to back to back L's.
Yeah,
And
we'll
I feel
see.
like I think it's their CEO. Their CEO is also kind of like talking himself into a hole.
Oh, they're going to implement commercials too soon.
Yeah, it's
they just need to drop their price. It's
crazy
ridiculous. It's
that-
like $25 a month.
It keeps
Is
going
it?
up.
Yeah.
I don't pay for mine.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's raised twice, literally, like in the last 6 months.
I think right now it's $25 a month. What's
Yes.
HBO?
That's
Like,
crazy. It's 15.
Exactly.
And
If you
HBO
don't-
Max is
yeah.
supposed to be like the premium service.
And Disney's $9.99.
And you can get some
And
good
it's a
ass
bundle.
bundles with Disney.
ESPN Plus and Hulu.
ESPN Plus, Hulu,
See,
and Disney.
People can get. People aren't as like. There's Hulu also has commercials, but like it's always had them.
Yeah, so it's not.
So it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, nobody pays attention because they've always been a thing on Hulu.
Hulu's also cheaper.
Hulu is cheaper.
So
That's true.
And you can pay for ad free.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but I don't know because they're also doing. They're eliminating like the shared accounts. I don't know exactly how they're doing that,
Yeah,
but I just know
like,
that's coming up.
That's another thing.
Or they're going to start implementing that as well. Or maybe they already did do that, but like it's limited how many people can be on an account at once.
yeah.
It was some crazy, like, I can't remember what they said, but they did like extensive research within the last year trying to find out like how serious, because they've usually just like turned the cheek when it comes to like people password sharing and stuff. But like in the last year, I guess they've like done a ton of like research within their subscriptions to find out like how exactly, like how many people are doing it. And it's a crazy amount. It's like 100 million like people are bandwagoning off of other subscriptions.
I'm not surprised.
No, it's not surprising, but they're mad about it because they want the money, obviously.
Right.
Well, they also just lost 700,000 subscribers from Russia.
Yeah, and Russia's doesn't help either.
Yeah, they lost quite a bit from Russia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Netflix was so big because it's the first streaming service. And now we have all these other ones, all these different like a la carte things. But like HBO Max, Disney Plus, and Hulu has a good library too, and I think, in my opinion,
They do.
like
Really good movie lineup.
Hulu has good movies.
But everyone's just starting to compete, and then Netflix is just making the wrong decisions.
Well, the pioneer is being pioneered.
Yeah,
that
is facts.
All right. On to the next bit of movie news. Robert Eggers' remake of the, what is this? The Nosferatu? What is that? A 95-year-old movie, something like that?
100. 1922.
100.
1922. Okay.
The Century movie.
Well, that movie, that remake that he was claimed to be working on is not happening at the moment. So, what do you guys know about this?
Does it say why?
So this is like the second or third time that it's been like halted.
Because I thought they already had a cast for this movie.
They do.
Oh.
Because Anya Taylor-Joy is already confirmed to be in it.
Let's go.
Of
Obviously.
course.
And I think Harry Styles is also supposed to be in it.
Oh.
I don't think he's confirmed, but I think he's supposed to be in
Harry
it.
Styles as Nosferatu.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been like halted before, but like not canceled or anything. It's just like been paused. But he's been talking about this for like a year. Like even during the Northman production, he was talking about this being his next one. And this time we don't really know why it's being halted or anything, because he seems like really excited to do it because he keeps talking about it.
Right.
But a lot of people are theorizing that the production has been halted due to either a star like pulling out of it, or that the studio is scared of vampire movies because of the Morbius failure.
Oh,
and that is not a joke.
Oh.
Because studios are looking at Morbius and thinking that the failure was because people are tired of vampire movies, not because it was just a bad movie.
When is the last time there was a vampire movie before Morbius? Twilight?
I feel like there's vampire movies all the time, but they just... I feel like they are never...
Were they vampires in I Am Legend? No, in the book they're vampires.
Yeah, technically,
not in the
but
movie.
in the movie they had to capitalize on the zombie craze.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people think it's Morbius, and the Morbius effect is canceling.
What do you mean, bro? Morbius is an awesome movie.
But imagine being Robert Eggers and the studio execs coming to you and being like, "Sorry, bro, we can't. It's Morbius. It happens."
Morbius happened. We can't do this anymore.
Oh my god!
You know what Nosferatu? You guys might not know, and you could cut this if neither of you guys know.
This is off the record.
But Nosferatu looks like that one Pete Davidson sketch
Yeah, he
on
does.
SNL. Where do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? Christian might not know. Where he's Count Chocula.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
when Dave Chappelle's on
He kind
SNL.
of just looks like Pete Davidson, period.
He
But yeah,
does.
that's what Nosferatu looks like.
Hey, dude, maybe Pete Davidson is the star.
That's funny. All right, and our last bit of movie news. Alexander Skarsgård, the lead actor in The Northman, he ate every 2 to 3 hours and consumed 3,700 calories per day while training for this movie.
And it shows.
It was
Yeah.
so you get them shoulders.
He was yoked.
He looks incredible in this movie.
He does. And he also talked about, which was really cool, but he worked out 6 times a week for it. He ate all that food. And he only trained for 6 or 3 months. And he talked about how easy it is to get like a physique like that when you're a Hollywood actor. Because it's just like average people, this would take so long and so much planning. But when you're a Hollywood actor and you have somebody to do everything for you, somebody that's meal planning, somebody that's giving you an exact workout, you're going and getting, medical studies done to figure out how to prep your workout for your specific,
And
like,
this is your
makeup.
job, too.
Yeah, it's your job.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because he talked about like how average people like don't be discouraged that you don't look like this in 3 weeks of working out.
That's funny.
Because he has 20 people around him that are helping him do it. But
I watched his men's health video that came out recently about the Northman.
it's really cool. He also talked about for the Northman about how I don't know if it was about the Northman directly, but he talked about how he was tired of being casted in Hollywood as the shirtless buff guy, which kind of sad.
Well,
And then he got casted as the shirtless buff guy.
But he looks good
just
shirtless.
good.
I mean,
But he said that he talked about like how he didn't like only getting roles because he like, could get really yoked.
yeah.
And he wanted to earn his roles and stuff. But moral of the story, he looks good in the Northman.
When you got that physique,
Yeah.
you don't need to be an awesome actor.
The very beginning of the movie, I guess we can get into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the very beginning of the movie.
Brayden, hit us with the movie we're doing this week.
All right. Well, it's the Northman. Oh my gosh. They'll give you the synopsis. From visionary director Robert Eggers comes The Northman, an action-filled epic that follows a young Viking prince on his quest to avenge his father's murder. So for the reception on this movie so far, the Rotten Tomato critic score has an 89%. The audience score has a 67%. IMDb is sitting at a 7.9 out of 10. The projected box office is 12.5 million. I know as of Friday, so the second day it came out, or its opening day, if you don't count Thursday's premieres, it made 9 million globally. Obviously, like the synopsis says, it's starring Robert Eggers and Alexander Skarsgård. Also Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, and Bjork, who it's her first time acting in 22 years. But yeah, what do we think about the movie, guys?
Well, actually, I think it's on track to be Robert Eggers' highest grossing movie so far.
That's actually the surprising to me. Like, seriously, because like I thought The Witch was more acclaimed than it was. Because I thought maybe it's just because our circle, but I thought more people knew about The Witch.
I don't know that The Witch did great.
I don't think it did. I feel like
theaters.
it went like super under the radar.
Crazy.
And then like, arty kids, those film snob losers picked it up and were like, this is a good movie.
Like The Lighthouse doesn't surprise me because it's more out there than The Witch is, and definitely than The Northman is.
I think it also helps that because I think this is Eggers' first, big backing movie where he has a
It's
large,
his biggest budget so far.
huge team around him and stuff.
It was also promoted very well.
And it was promoted a lot more than like The Lighthouse and The Witch.
Well, was it though? Because my thinking behind how the discrepancy in the critic and the audience score is that it's promoted more as like an ongoing action movie.
Yes.
It was.
Which,
it's
hey,
not.
it still got people in the theaters.
It's not though.
No, it's not.
But that is,
It's-
that's how they promote it so that it sells.
when people, because like all the reviews I've ever seen before watching this is like it's exactly what you think if Robert Eggers directs a Viking revenge flick, and it kind of actually is.
Yeah.
and a lot of people may not be. I will say most people aren't familiar with Robert Eggers.
Yeah, no.
And so them going,
They just see a Viking
they're thinking
movie.
it's going to be a Viking film.
Yeah.
Like, well, it is a Viking film, but like a Viking, like real, just action ongoing all the time, and it's filled with a lot of mythology and mysticism and stuff, like Robert Eggers is known for.
Yeah, but also studios could not care less if you like the movie because they make money if you're in the seats.
Yeah,
So
that's true. I thought the action in this movie was really good, though.
it was. I
think
thought so too.
it was very good as far as and nothing felt really jarring. It always felt like I know I wasn't really paying attention when watching it, but it felt like there was a lot of long takes within the action.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was like continuous.
Yeah, there definitely was. There was like a lot of times where it was like either an actual long take or like one of the little pseudo long takes where there's like a clever cut in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because they did that, that's the best. The Batman did that too, and it works really well because it isn't fucking jarring and stuff like Morbius.
Like Morbius. Yeah, like Morbius.
Because like, do you remember like the
podcast episode?
I hate to like throw Morbius and Venom under the bus right now, but like, do you remember like Morbius and Venom and like the action stuff and like it kind of like gives you a migraine because you're like you can't even understand what's happening half the time.
Yeah, you never thought that in this.
No,
with anything.
Yeah, it's all like really cohesive.
Yeah.
Oh, unless you were confused about some of the like mysticism stuff, then I could understand.
Yeah,
if you're
that
what
makes
the fuck's
sense.
going on?
The random cuts to them barking like wolves and
That might be why
Doing
people don't
myth-
like it. They're like, why is Ethan Hawke burping?
At the very beginning, I'm speaking of people who probably thought they were just going for a Viking movie, which probably everybody. At the very beginning of the movie, when they were doing, when, the king boy and his son went down into the little cave and then did their little, dog ritual, have funsies bonding experience.
yes.
When that scene first happened, because that was the first time in the movie where something out of the ordinary happened,
Right.
and some dude on the lower level of the theater was like, "Well, that was really weird."
Really?
Okay, I heard something mumbled.
Oh.
I heard something mumbled
hear
down there
that.
too.
Because because there were so many times where like it was, and I think Robert Eggers does this in The Lighthouse and like The Witch too, but it does weird, quirky scene, and then it just it's a very harsh
Silence.
cutoff
Yeah.
to silence, so that you sit there and think about it, and that gives you so much opportunity for audience reaction.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the first time it did it, and it just like harsh cut off, and it was just silence, and then some dude was like, "Well, that was really weird."
Yeah. This movie did that a lot.
Yeah,
There was a
it did
lot of
do it a lot.
those build ups to cuts to silence.
Uh-huh.
It did that probably 5 or more
Confidently,
times, I
at
would say.
least like 5 times.
At least 5 for
Yeah.
sure. But
I will say, as far as like, not to keep talking about the action, but as far as action goes, before going into this, I was expecting something very similar to The Green Knight.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And it was almost like that, but a little bit more. It wasn't as much of a slow build up type thing.
Yeah. I feel like this definitely had more of a driving story
Yeah.
than The Green Knight did. Probably.
It's very clear. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very much a revenge. His revenge for his father is what is driving every single plot point within the movie.
Yeah.
I think
Like
helps
it never goes away from that ever.
I think it helps this movie a lot too, because like, I mean, a 67 with the audience is not bad, and I mean, I think it really helps to try and also get people like kind of on the Robert Eggers train that weren't already on it, because yeah, I mean, it's by far his most like understandable movie with your first watch, where you can dive really deep into it if you want, but also if you're not one of those people who doesn't care to dive deep into it, then you can watch it and still understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that go to the movies value knowing what is happening.
Yeah,
A lot of them.
They do.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Most moviegoers want to know what's happening in the movie when they're watching it.
Yeah.
And that's with this movie, I'm kind of proud because while like I enjoy those, it's cool that he's made a movie that's still, you can tell is like a Robert Eggers movie, but it's still cohesive.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that point explains the box office numbers this weekend. I have the full list here. The Bad Guys,
Yes.
24 mil.
Dude, The Bad Guys is popping off.
Dude, movies are popping off this month.
Movies are popping
It's
off.
crazy.
They are. This weekend, The Bad Guys came in first at 24 mil. Then Sonic the Hedgehog at 15 still.
They're going strong.
15. They're at
3 weeks?
145 million total.
Man,
Yeah.
that's probably just domestic too.
Yeah, for Sonic the Hedgehog.
That is wild.
Yeah. And then Fantastic Beasts at 14, 67 total, and Northman at 12 for this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
That is.
Also, something I want to touch up on because I did some research. If you look up any review for the Northman, it's going to talk about how it is inspired by Hamlet. I did not know what Hamlet was because
Yeah,
we never learned about it.
We
in high
didn't
school.
read it in high school because we were in AP.
So
That's a Shakespeare thing, right?
it's a Shakespearean play. But so I looked up Hamlet. Hamlet is literally just a revenge story. We've seen a different version of Hamlet in countless different movies.
Okay.
It's just where basically the main plot is I won't say the entire plot, but I'll say some of it. Is there's fratricide where a brother kills a father or kills his brother, marries off his mother, or marries his I guess it'd be his sister-in-law,
Yes.
and then tries to kill his brother's son, and then the whole plot goes from there. Basically, exactly what happens in the Northman, like the ending as well.
Yeah.
And then I looked up further in Hamlet. I have it on the outline, so you guys probably know where I'm going. But Hamlet is inspired by a legend that's called Amleth. And Amleth is the main character in the Northman.
Interesting.
That is pretty cool.
So I was like, oh, so that's where they got Amleth. And then I realized Hamlet is just Amleth reordered.
What is it called? An anagram? Is that what it is? I don't remember what that is.
Oh my God.
When
it
you
is.
read,
Oh my
move
God.
around letters.
I'm not the first person to notice this, but I just realized it while
Brayden,
doing
good
research.
work on the research
Yeah,
this
man.
week.
You've been working on your anagrams.
Yeah.
Hamlet, okay, a different version of Hamlet is the Lion King.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
Hamlet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen The Lion King probably 30 times. Never once thought about that.
Yeah, but because I was like, man, these people are so smart realizing he's based off Hamlet. Then I realized the Hamlet is literally almost every movie ever.
Yeah, it's just the
So
basic.
it's like, it's actually not that big.
But this one took it to the extreme.
That's actually pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it is. So do you guys want to go practice some Mongolian chants, or is that just me?
Some throat singing.
Throat singing. Yeah. That was honestly the literally like the first time they do it when they're all around the fire at the very beginning and it's raining. That was my favorite scene in the entire movie. And it happened like, what was that, 20, 30 minutes in?
Yeah.
You know
The
what I'm talking
soundtrack
about?
was dope.
Yeah.
in this.
When they all start running around the fire. Yeah, that was my favorite scene in the entire movie. That thing was so cool.
The Viking lore in this movie is really, really, really good.
And
Yeah,
like
it
the
helps.
subtitles on the singing, that was cool. They didn't
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah.
No, that
It's
was
like, you
cool.
don't have to. But yeah, that was cool.
It's like in Dune when they're doing throat singing. What's that guy saying?
What's he saying? I
Yeah.
want to know.
Who knows?
Maybe
What
we
is he
should
saying?
put some subtitles so there's some context to the throat moaning.
Moaning.
The throat moaning.
The throat moaning.
No, but yeah, I think but the audience score, I am surprised that it's. I feel like any like dad could watch this.
I think so too. That's
Because it's so visceral and raw, and there's so much gore and
Yeah.
mud and everything everywhere. It's in your face. And like the action scenes are dope. The final action scene is great.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's just it's like a different version of. I watched a Jeremy Johns video, and he's like, it's just a different version of. What's the third Star Wars movie?
Yeah,
Obi-Wan
Star
Kenobi and
It's
Anakin
Obi-Wan
Skywalker.
Kenobi
I was
and
thinking
Anakin,
it.
but
That's
shorter.
exactly what
Yeah.
I thought too.
As it was going on, I went.
It's just
"This
like
thing's
it's just like a
insane."
different version of that. It's so dope. I'm just surprised. I just feel like this is way more accessible,
It is.
like Hunter was saying, for most audiences. But I guess maybe the mysticism stuff
It's
throws
still-
people off.
too inaccessible.
I guess I don't know.
Hey,
If there's any sort of depth, it's a no-go.
I really liked it. I think that the general audience will like it.
I think so too.
It's a majority.
I think the majority of people that watch it, like as a general audience member, will like it.
Yeah. And I mean, I know my dad, for instance, I told him that I thought he would like it, and he's seeing it today, actually. But he watched all of Vikings.
Dude, I want to watch
He'd
Vikings.
probably love it.
And
Yeah.
I was like, if you really liked Vikings, which I haven't seen Vikings, but I'm assuming that Vikings, if you've watched Vikings, then you'll know all the
You got
context
lore.
of this.
Especially
Yeah.
because maybe that is why, because the lore in this movie is not, they don't tell you like any of the lore. Like
Yeah.
you just have to kind of have a grasp of what the Norse mythology is like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it, they don't just like spoon feed to you. Like, here's why I don't know. It's not spoon fed to you.
Right.
So like him watching that, he definitely would understand more of it than maybe
Yeah.
just someone who hasn't watched anything to do at all with Norse mythology.
Right.
And so he might like it.
Which is why I think if you've watched a Viking show or, know anything about that, this is going to be a good movie.
Or if you're a historian. For
That-
all the
that too.
historian
True.
film
The-
watchers.
Minor, what 0.1% of the population does that.
That's my favorite part about Robert Eggers, though, with his historical movies. And he also just
His
said
period pieces.
a few days ago that he is only going to make period pieces and he will never make a movie set in modern times.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
So, yeah.
That's
But-
fun.
He's good at those period pieces.
Yeah.
But
Like,
I love that he goes the extra mile and like is very historically accurate and accurate to the source material.
I mean, he co-wrote this with like an Icelandic
Yeah.
poet. I can't remember his or her name. I don't know if it's a guy or girl.
That is sick.
He did the same thing with The Witch, like how he went very, very excruciatingly like accurate. And this was the same thing, and you could tell.
It's really cool.
His one thing he brought up his period pieces, and I think this is like there's no effort in this to try and make anyone look like a good guy. If that makes sense. I put that in the outline, but like everything is obviously the main character does bad things, and I don't even know if you might. He's the main character. He's your protagonist, and you might not even consider him a good guy
Right.
from certain perspectives.
No, yeah.
And no one's really a good guy. Like even Anya Taylor-Joy, like the co-lead. Just like think of how he meets her and how they come together.
She's not a good person.
Yeah, I mean,
No. I'm just saying like she
the
ends
circumstances that they meet each other.
Up, she ends up thinking like, yeah, he's the good guy
Yeah.
in my story. But just think of how he met her.
Yeah.
And he's the reason that she's in that situation, but she doesn't care because that's just how things go in
Yeah.
900 AD.
You're right.
That's what I really liked about when he was back in, what was that, Iceland?
Yes.
When he was back in Iceland and, he's just being a slave. You're kind of like, oh, his uncle's actually like not that bad.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, oh, he's okay. And like all his people, they seem happy. And then he starts killing them and you're like, oh, maybe he the bad guy.
Yeah, the whole entire fight scene at the end where they were really going at it. And honestly, I didn't know how that fight scene was going to end. Because
Yeah, I didn't
And I
either.
mean,
Well, it's foretold what will happen to the main character.
it is.
You can't change your fate, man.
You can't change your fate, but I wasn't sure.
To change your fate.
Yeah.
I
you can't
wasn't
change your
sure
fate.
that Fjolnir
from Brave.
Fjolnir, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so-
I didn't think Fjolnir was gonna kill him. Like I
Shit,
really
fucking
this is a spoilers podcast. We're already on this.
Okay.
So if I'm assuming whoever's listening
by
to this
now
is probably
you haven't
watched
figured
this
it out.
movie or you're not going to. So
Fine now, you haven't figured it out. This is a spoiler podcast.
okay.
all right. You won't remember any of the characters' names anyway when you start
True.
watching it. So but yeah, I didn't know what was gonna happen in that final scene. And the whole time it was happening, I didn't know who I wanted to win.
Mhm.
Like I was sitting there and I was so conflicted because in that moment I was like, I mean, Amleth is like kind of a bitch.
She kind of a little dramatic.
I mean,
bro.
he can be a bad guy, but I feel like even in that time, he would be considered the good guy. He's got motivations for what he's doing.
yeah.
He does, but at the same time, when you show up and your whole thing is to avenge your father, save your mother, but your mother is happy. That should be where the line stops,
Mom's
right?
like, bro, I don't
Well,
need
it's
saving.
interesting even for that because it could be, she just has. I don't know. It's kind of probably a defense mechanism for her mother because we find out how she met his father and how that goes about. And then she's put into a different situation with her brother-in-law. And it could be that that's actually how she feels, but it could just be that she's just coping and has she's just having forms of Stockholm syndrome no matter where she gets passed along.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be pretty miserable to live unhappily for 20 years that she was with him.
And I mean, I guess she was going to kill him if...
She's fucking crazy anyway.
Yeah.
She was a little bonkers.
She was.
Nicole Kidman played her really
Spoilers, she was a little bonkers.
well. She was a little bonkers.
Well, I just wish he would have been a real man and stayed on the boat with Anna Taylor-Joy, but
I would have.
yeah,
He's a better man than me.
yeah, I would not have.
This goes back to the Batman being a strong man.
Yep.
When Batman
Keeping his head to the grind, and this movie was no exception.
Yeah.
He kept his head to the fate-bound path.
He decided to choose hate for his... What was it? Hate for his... Fuck. What was it? His kindness for his family and hate for his...
His enemies or
his
something.
enemies? That's... I don't know. I can't remember.
Just put it through a Nordic translation. And,
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah.
make it sound cooler. But
Do we got any more points we want to make, or we want to get into our ratings?
I want to fangirl over the historical accuracy a little more.
Okay.
But just because I fangirled over it in the theater, I just thought it was really cool at the very beginning when they went berserker mode and guys being dudes in the village and pillaging, because I remembered back to one of my classes I had about, it was just, I can't even remember what the class was, but it was like a European history class, but like just very rushed through from the very beginning to the very end. Mm-hmm. And we like rushed over Vikings, and Vikings are cool. And my teacher explained like about how when the Vikings were going berserker, we now know it's because they were just high on mushrooms. And that's why like they were bonkers and they felt little pain because they were just super high on mushrooms.
That makes sense.
And the people that would get them high were the people like Anya Taylor-Joy's character, who were the like witches, and they were just earth magic people because they knew the right, mushrooms and stuff. And the mushrooms that were in the movie that like Anya Taylor-Joy puts in like the soup and stuff, they're the like the actual ones.
Oh.
So good job, Robert Eggers.
Nice.
That is
Historical
nice.
accuracy.
Nice.
Good stuff.
And at like the very beginning, right when they're done pillaging and stuff, it does one of the like super harsh cuts where it's really loud and stuff, and it cuts, and then they're all super calm. It's because they're on the come down.
Yeah.
And they're all just they're sober now.
Okay.
And they're all just calm.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. But like stuff like that, just the little fine details that are super cool and super nice to see.
All right, so let's get into our ratings. I guess I'll go first. Since
I don't know the order anymore.
We don't have Alex, so
you threw everything off.
Alex is he might be back soon, but he's going to be departing.
He's MIA, basically.
Yeah, he's going to be departing cities soon. So
We don't know where he's at, and he just stopped showing up to the podcast recordings. So
We don't know where he is.
if you find
We've
him, let
lost
us
contact.
know.
yeah, Alex, if you're out there, please send us a text.
Let us know, man.
Let us know you're all right. All right, so I am going to give The Northman an 85%.
Is it me next?
Yes, I think so.
I think I'll go next.
Yeah, it's you.
I like an 85%. That's a good score. Of my Robert Eggers movies that I have seen, which, well, I guess that's all of them. But
He's only got 3.
yeah,
It's not that many.
I did not like this as much as The Lighthouse, but I did like it more than The Witch. And I mean, that's not to say any of those are bad, because all of them are really good.
And you really like The Witch.
Yeah. And I would give this an 83.5.
Wow, you're going to make me do some crazy math here.
83. Shut up. So stupid. 83.
I'm rounding that up to an 84.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Brayden, what do you think, man?
I'm gonna go with the critic score, 89.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. I think The Witch and The Lighthouse are better, but Robert Eggers just makes really good films.
I know, like it's fun. It's hard ranking them because they're all really good.
The Witch came out in like was it 2016 or 17, and
so.
That's when it debuted. And he's just had 3 straight really good films.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are
crazy.
good. 2015.
2015. Okay, but yeah.
Well,
89.
keep it up, Robert Eggers.
Yeah. We hope to see Pete Davidson as Nosferatu.
Yes. Yes. We hope that's coming. So that gives us a cheese meter score for the Northman of an 86%. That is one of our higher.
That's one of the higher ones.
One of our higher scores.
Pretty good.
I don't know. I feel like if Alex were here, he might bring it down a little.
Sadly, I think Fresh is higher.
Is it?
Well,
I don't know-
Fresh.
I don't know if Fresh.
I know.
Fresh
I
is
didn't
good
rate
movie.
I don't know
higher.
if I think Fresh is better than this.
Yeah.
But,
Fresh.
hey, that's a combined score.
Yeah.
Fresh is a good movie, though.
It is good. Not to down. Sorry.
Not to
Shouldn't-
downplay Fresh.
Sorry, shouldn't have to put down other movies.
Yeah,
just
we don't
because
put
one
down
good one
others.
comes out. Shouldn't do that.
No, we praise movies here.
Our house is being pillaged.
Just go. The Vikings are coming. Come on.
The Vikings
we gotta go. We gotta
the
go.
Vikings
We gotta
are coming. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast. If you liked what you heard today, go ahead and like the video if you're on YouTube, or leave us a comment wherever you listen to your podcasts.
They're right outside.
Yeah, they're really close now.
They're coming. The Vikings are coming.
I lost my outro notes. This might be it, guys.
Just go.
You can follow us on Twitter at @the_PodRats. We're gonna be pillaged, so
For a
nothing.
follow, no. If you follow us, we'll avenge your father, save your mother, and kill Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Your support means everything and keeps us motivated to be here every week. That being said, we'll be back sometime soon. Don't know when. Probably for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Stranger
Stranger
Doctors.
Doctors.
Stranger Doctors. Until then, put yourself first and take care of each other. Bye, guys.
See ya.